Hey guys, this is Robert, and thank you for tuning in to Station Square. And today we're going to be chatting with somebody who's been doing VO. Um, they also do like speech and a bunch of other stuff. Uh, I mean, if I list off the resume, I'm probably going to be here for like another minute or so. So I'm pleased to bring on Jennifer Kellams. Yeah,
Yeah, Kellams. Yeah.
yeah. So thank
Hello,
you so much
everybody.
for joining me. Yeah, thank you very much.
My pleasure. This is fun. I know we keep trying to schedule time, so I'm glad we finally found a landing pad to do this.
Yeah, totally. Yep.
Yeah.
So, without much further ado, let us begin. What I usually like to do is, yeah, just say, like, I don't know, do like a brief little introduction, like, what is it that you've mainly been up to? Like, give a quick little, like, icebreaker type of thing so people can, like, at least what have you been up to so far as of this year? And yeah, tell us about your little journey so far, if you
Okay.
may.
Okay. My journey, my Cliff's Notes journey, actually like in the early aughts, uh, I worked for a small production, like audio production company in Colorado Springs. And, that lasted for a hot second because it was a very small production company. And I ended up going back to grad school, becoming a speech therapist, but voiceover and audio production was always in my heart. Um, so, everybody has their COVID projects and it just kept like eating at me and eating at me. And I work in the hospital. So I was like, oh man, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be here with all this COVID. Um, once I got my head back on straight, I just started figuring out how do I make this whole voice work thing happen. I started following people on YouTube, and I've just really been hitting it hard for about the past year and just loving it. And I would say like these past few months, I've been doing a lot of prayers for this mission up in Canada. Um, I just got an audiobook last night, so I'm excited about that, about sustainability. Um, and it's funny, I'm like the voice of green energy. I have it's this place in China called Tianjin, and it's like the green energy exhibition hall. And I'm like, oh, I'm the voice of that too. So I've just been getting things like that. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. So, was this always something that you've wanted to do since you were really young? Like, how did this all begin for you?
Um, so my mom's a psychologist, and she goes, what do you see in your hand?" It's some psychology thing that they do. "What do you see in your hand when you grow up?" And I said, "A microphone." And so I always wanted to be a singer, I thought. And then I got into theater, and I'm like, well, I really like acting, but I don't actually like being in front of people. I'm actually very shy. So when I went to college, and I was actually a music major for a hot second and didn't really like that, even though that's what I thought I wanted to do, and got into communication. And there was a specific program for electronic media and audio production. And I absolutely loved it. I could hide behind a mic. I could be whoever I wanted to be. I'm like, this is everything I wanted. I didn't even know it.
Yeah, and all of this just really helped you along the way when you started when you dived into VO? Like, would you say that it
I
really
think
helped you immensely?
absolutely. Like I already had audio production under my belt. So, a lot of people, I'm in the VO's Journey Elite Academy, and I follow a lot of people, and I learned so much through them, but then also I kind of see where people are starting. And I definitely have had a heads up, and I'm just a little bit further down that, like, oh, I'm starting from scratch. I have to figure out how to edit audio. I didn't have to figure that out. So I just had to kind of refine what I was doing. So
Hmm, yeah. Um, because I know with psychology in particular, like I know we're always about like who is this character, who are we talking to, where, the Meisner, technique of acting. So I know that psychology is also kind of like one of the key elements on crafting or creating a character. Because it's more about where this character who this character is, or like who's my relationship with the scene partner, and like studying the mind of how it is kind of like something that's always very, very fascinating. Like I always really loved delving into that stuff, even when I was like, I don't know, kid, because I always liked mimicking stuff, and then I always wondered like, this I'm not really sure why, but I feel like there's something like behind a character. Like I know this is something that's like, oh, okay, maybe there's more layers to the scene, or maybe there's like different twists or turns. So, and as far as VO, as far as voiceover went, like I didn't really think that it was something that you could do as like an actual career. Like I thought it was um like as a kid I knew what acting was, but I didn't really realize that voice acting was kind of something that you could do, you know, as a living. So that was like
Right.
something that just really, it just blew my mind like, oh my God, you can actually do this. I mean,
Yes.
it's crazy.
Yeah, no, when my boss at the audio production company, um, when he was first like, you do a 15-second spot and you produce it, like you make 250 for a voiceover and then you make another 400 on producing it. And you can do that in about 45 minutes or less. Um, and he was like, I always thought like, oh, I want to go into radio, and radio, they don't make that much money. And I was like, holy crap, you could like, and the fact you can live anywhere. You can live anywhere in the world and you can do this anywhere in the world and make a lot of money, just like you said, like just being silly and creating characters and imitating and mimicking things. Like who'd have thought this is like it's I think it's the best job in the world.
Yeah, totally. Um, so what actually I was kind of curious, like, um, from where you were raised in, like, was there like a lot of opportunity for work, or did that kind of like, did it come like later in your life? Did it really start, like, the snowball effect really start rolling, would you say?
Well, I never did voiceover work like growing up or anything. And I moved around a lot as a kid.
Okay.
So, yeah. So I just got a lot of exposure as far as just like you said, like imitating things, but not really like applying it to anything. It's just like, oh, I'm just really good at like picking up songs or picking up lines. Um, uh, or like I would hear something and I'd be like, oh, that's how they're doing that. But um, even I mean, I live in Southern California, and
Oh,
everybody
me
thinks,
too.
oh, if you want to if you want to do voice work, you need to live in LA or New York, just like an actor. And when first in that audio production company, I was in Colorado Springs, and I got some local work in Colorado Springs through that company. Um, but a lot of what we did was contacts that my boss already had, and they were out of New York. And they called in, and they would just do some direction over the phone, and we'd record it and send it off same day. Um, a lot of the work I get, honestly, right now is through like Fiverr and Upwork. I'm working on direct marketing right now. That's kind of my focus right now that I'm a year in. So, but even I went to college in Bloomington, Indiana, and they had a radio station there, just like community radio station, and every 3 months they had a like a live radio variety show. So I think there's always opportunities if you're looking around, or you can just create them. Or maybe I was just in very magical moments at the right time.
Yeah. Being at the right place at the right time.
Right.
Yeah. That's kind of that's how it be, man. Like,
Hmm.
um, something happens and then you just show up and you come prepared and ready and it's just kind of like they say that luck plus preparation
Hmm.
equals success. If there's something else to that, like I think that's pretty much how it goes. I'm a firm believer that being there at the right place at the right time can definitely be very helpful. Yeah. When it comes to, excuse me, seeking opportunities or like if you show up like to a big city like LA, for instance, like who knows where it takes you? You just don't know. Like you never know what the next big thing is gonna be.
And
Yeah, you just
my
don't know.
friend, a very good friend of mine, she has her MBA, and I talked to her about marketing. And one thing she's like, just what is your niche? So like I did uh I did the voiceovers. I'm working on the voiceovers for the Tonga Hut in LA, but I did the voiceovers for our local Tonga Hut here in Palm Springs. And that kind of feeds into, okay, I'm now like, I've got this whole like, we hang out at tiki bars, and now I have like those connections, and I can actually work those connections. Obviously, not tiki bars, other tiki bars in LA, but other tiki bars across the country. And to say, look what I've done. And they all know each other, and they'll see like all of these connections, and you use those connections too. You have to be smart about positioning yourself to be in the right place sometimes.
Yeah. And social media, which is I know that everybody's I guess, takes or like thoughts or opinions on social media can vary, but I know that it is also like the one thing everybody will say is that it's great if you're getting connected with, your mutuals, your friends, clients, and establishing those relationships with people and making solid, genuine connections. Like, um, I know that we live in a day and age where it's like, oh, social media is, but honestly, um, it comes to when you manage how much time you're spending on it, what you're using it, and um, what are you using it for? Are you using it for because of you're looking up auditions, or if you're like, using it to market or something, or are you using it just to scroll or just look up, like, I don't know, if you want to look up like funny clips or memes or what have you. Now, I mean, it's not. I'm not saying that it's bad. Don't get me wrong. Like we all have our, there's times where we just unwind, or just watch something on like I don't know YouTube or what have you. But I mainly kind of use social media as like it's something where I can stay connected with folks, and I don't really do like trends or what people be doing. Like, hey, there's the blah 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 blah, or and also staying away from any drama or controversy. Like that is that should pretty much be a no-brainer. Like, just don't get roped up in drama. That's no. I mean, I would ask like, what are the pros and cons of having a social media presence? But I've pretty much asked this question like pretty much all the time. So I'm not sure what response I'm gonna get in when it comes to asking this particular one, because there's a lot of things, like I've already mentioned, like it's good for connections, but it can also be really toxic, and you don't know who's watching you. And I'm just gonna leave it at that.
For sure. I mean, when I first got on like Fiverr and all of that, I tried to be like very anonymous, and I'm like, oh no, you won't know my
Mhm.
last name. You're not going to know where I live. And now I'm like, oh, here I, but you know, there's definitely a danger in social media and just and being out there. Um, y- it's hard because it's like, well, you have to be cautious, but you also have to put yourself out there to be found. So, I don't know what the answer is, but I agree with you. Like, um, especially on your professional social media, absolutely no. Like, I think even like politics, like, um, there's some things that I will say, or I'll comment to, um, but I try to stay away from that as much as possible. But the few things that I do comment to, I actually think like, okay, who is this going to piss off? And is this going to keep me from getting work? And, you know, I got like an offer to do uh, a political ad, and I was just like, apparently I do have a boundary, and I can't support that. So, but at the same time, I'm not going to be like in your face about it.
That just opened up a whole can of worms.
Oh, that's what I
Oh
do.
man. Yeah. I mean, this is why, good thing on my podcast, I don't really discuss politics unless it's absolutely necessary.
No, 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 no. And we don't need to get into which side or what was said or any of that. But I
Oh,
I
totally,
do
yeah.
think, I do think that there's, one thing that, it's like, okay, am I going to be open to any job and believing anything? And or do I have a line where I'm going to use my voice and my talents to support something I believe in and not support something that I don't? And I didn't really know that I had a line until I was presented with that option. And I was like, I can't do that. I can't do that. I don't need the money enough. So, but I'm fortunate enough to right now to be in a place where I can make that decision and I can turn away work too. But I remember like one of the first jobs I had was like buy into like some co-op in some castle in Hungary or somewhere, and I'm like, this is totally a scam, and I'm like contributing to like probably people getting swindled, and I just felt so bad afterwards. I'm like, I wasn't part of that, and I don't know what it ended up being really, but just the little bit I was like, oh, this is a little cringe. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah.
So, how's it like living in Palm Springs?
It's like living on vacation all the time, the good, the bad.
Mhm.
Everybody's on vacation mode, so when you're trying to get somewhere and do something, it's so frustrating, but it's also like um it's really cool coming home because a lot of places I lived were like very Midwest, um very um uh like just middle class America in the Midwest. And so coming home and like seeing the sunlight hit the palm trees and they're flapping in the breeze. And I'm like, oh, it's like, this like welcome home, like a disco ball welcoming me home. I'm like, who gets that? I have a mountain outside my window. Who gets that? That's amazing. So,
Seriously? Wow.
yeah. So, it is hard because it is so vacation vibes all the time. But and so you're like, I don't want to work. I want to party. And I just want to party all the time. But at the same time, you have to find that boundary.
Oh yeah, totally. Because I know that Palm Springs is kind of like you said, it's like a tropical paradise, and
Mhm.
I feel like everyone takes a vacation to Palm Springs. Um, and it is really nice, and I'm kind of jealous that you have a mountain like outside.
You're
You're
what? You're in LA?
Yeah, I'm in LA, and I mean, I'm closer to Orange County,
Yeah.
and over here, like, at least where I live, it's like nice and it's finally sunny. Like, oh my gosh, we've been getting like overcast clouds for like the past week or so, so it's nice that the
Yeah.
sun is finally coming out to shine.
Yeah. So you guys have
Now
like,
it's not all,
we're
yeah,
actually jealous of you because you guys have like year round perfect weather. Like we try to get out to LA. My husband and I try to get out to like LA or just, especially this time of year because it gets hot. And we're just, we want to get to the beach. We want to get to, you know, have fun in LA and all the things that there are there. And the weather is just good all the time.
yeah, it's not fun during the summertime where there's a lot of pollen and all that stuff.
Oh, come to
Not to
Palm
be.
Springs.
Oh yeah, I'll keep that in mind. Yeah, because especially around this time of year, there's like always like I get really bad allergies. In fact, um, in this interview, I've sound a little bit stuffed up. So like it's kind of because my sinuses just will not work cooperate with me. It just feels like I mean, it is what it is. It's just kind of one of
Mhm,
those weeks. So, but
mhm.
I'm doing this still. So, hey, the work never stops, even if you're not 100%. Whoop-de-doo.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, yeah, but I mean, I guess to say a little bit about myself.
Mhm.
So yeah, I've kind of been doing this for like 5, almost 6 years coming up in September, like for voiceover. In fact, as you can see, I got this little thingy, my booth right behind me, because
Nice.
that's how I
Nice.
always like doing these. And then let me see, I just really like food and I drink plenty of water during the day. That's kind
Mhm.
of me. And I hardly take naps, which is kind of fascinating because when I was a kid, I used to sleep a lot, but now since I've started becoming a VA, it's like, okay, I work day and night, I go to sleep during the night, and then I just wake up whenever. Like, I
Yeah.
think everybody's sleep schedules they've kind of changed since the pandemic, you know what I mean? Um,
Mhm, mhm.
and I know if you're in a big city like LA, it's kind of, you deal with a lot of noise, like traffic or
Yes.
what else happened. Anything else? Like, let me see. Rent. Gotta pay your rent.
Yes.
That's
Absolutely.
why, I mean, if you're doing this full time, or if you're a voiceover artist, like it does pay up the bills a little bit, but like it is astronomically high. Like it is not even a secret. Like it's always been pretty bad. Yeah.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
I guess that's a little bit about me.
Yeah. So how long have you been in voiceover?
Like I said, I've s- I started in 2017, so coming up in September is gonna be 6 years.
Okay. You kind of glitched out a little there, so I missed it.
Oh, did I?
But
Oh, sorry.
I hope
Six
your audience
years.
probably
Yeah.
heard it and I missed it.
Oh, my bad. Yeah. I'm basically saying that I've been doing this for like 6 years.
Okay.
Almost
Okay.
6 years, actually. Yeah.
And you're full time.
Um, I'm working my way into doing this full time.
Okay.
I've kind of been doing like I do VO and I'm also doing like writing on the side. I do this. So it's kind of like an entrepreneurial type of thing where I'm like, I juggle many different hats and then I try to find the time to actually if there even is like a downtime, I don't know. But if I do get one of those opportunities where I could just rest and do nothing all day, which is a miracle, then I'll
Mm-hmm.
do that.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's definitely good to rest. Rest your mind, your body, and everything. So,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
yeah. Mm. So not only have you done VO, but you said that you're a speech language pathologist and explorer. So how's that going for you? We could just talk a little bit about that.
Very
Yeah.
briefly. I don't really like to talk about work because I don't like being there.
Oh,
It's
okay.
but I do think I will advocate for my profession a little bit. A lot of people when they hear speech therapist or speech language pathologist, they're like, "Oh, I had speech therapy as a kid," and that's definitely a part. Um, and there's actually a lot that I do like. Just a little bit burnt out. But I actually work in acute care. I work in a hospital. I work with the fresh strokes, the fresh brain injuries, with cognition, with speech, language, um, and and swallowing. Like I help people. Like we take our swallowing for granted, and aside from all the great jokes you can make, it's a lot of fun to um not to have people realize like, oh my gosh, I could lose my ability to swallow and eat, but to see people regain that skill is probably like the most rewarding part of my job, and I love it.
Yeah, right on. Um, So your branding, let me see. Look, I'm just looking at your bio right now. So you just have a passion for, I can tell that you clearly have a passion for people, projects, and you like to plan and organize and all that stuff. So juggling all these responsibilities, like how do you balance it all out?
Um, I think I just go. I have the
Yeah.
I have the structure of, okay, here's my 9 to 5. Right after that, go straight to the gym. After that, come home, eat dinner, do voiceover, go to bed, rinse and repeat during the week. On the weekends, in the summertime, we try to get out of the heat. That might not be the case this year, but hopefully, we try to do it as much as we can. And so I will like try to like plan ahead. Like if we're gonna be out, I'll be like, okay, I'm just gonna like record a whole bunch, and then we'll get out of town, we'll have fun, and like during downtime, I'll edit. So I'll kind of like just prep, like micro prep, little bits, and um, I'm big on to-do lists. I'm very type A, so I always think that things are gonna take longer than they actually do, and that stresses me out. But then I always get it done. So I don't know, whatever I'm doing, it works. But
Yeah,
at the same
bingo.
time, like, I have this dubbing job and they just threw that at me like right on top of the audio accepting the audiobook and I'm like, well, I can do that, but it won't be when you say like if you need it from me, because I haven't accepted the job yet. If you want me to do it, I'm happy to do it. If I can't have it done by Wednesday, I can have it done by Friday. And like for my Fiverr accounts, like I push them all out to where like, okay, your return is gonna be, 3-day delivery, not 24-hour delivery. I raised my rates to kind of slow things down too. So, I kind of just mentally plan ahead like that.
Yeah. So you've worked for many different clients over the years, most of which is probably listed on your website. So if people want to check that out, there you
Yeah.
go. I also wanted to ask you about, your radio stuff. Like you did a live radio show for Bloomington for several years. How's it like getting that good old radio experience?
So yeah, I did DJ work throughout Indiana and Colorado Springs. Um and doing the producer thing. And that was fun. A lot of radio is going to automation, so you don't really get to be like, oh, I'm gonna play this. And I liked where I could kind of still pick the music, but now everything is so pre-programmed that you're really just there monitoring stuff. But what I loved doing, like the old time radio show, and we did it, in front of a live studio audience. And the guy that started that, he did like old radio back in his heyday. Um, Not that he's super old, but he was definitely a performer, and he definitely just had a passion for doing like Prairie Home Companion type shows, and brought that to Bloomington. Um, it was just fun, you didn't really have to prep. We did like one table read earlier in the week, and and that was pretty much it. And then you just kind of got to develop your characters on the fly, and then you just knew like, okay, you're gonna hang out over on the sidelines, and oh, it's my turn to come up, and you walk up to the mic, and it's everything you think it is in the movies. So
Yeah, because I always enjoy, like, I don't know what it is about radio, but there's kind of like the sense of, having these live productions through the airwaves, and it's kind of it just immerses you into whatever it is that you're listening to, and you just kind of get lost in it. It's kind of like if you're listening to an audiobook, which you've done your fair share. And I was also kind of curious as to, like, for audiobooks, do you find the job to be, well, because I know that doing audiobooks is, oof, but is it something that you just started getting into the groove after some time? Like, did it start getting easier, or there's still challenges that you're um uh, like when it comes to, recording an audiobook and stuff like that? Like, what are some of the biggest like pros and cons of doing audiobooks? What would you say?
I mean, if I'm totally honest, they're not my favorite. I my attention span, I love doing, commercials or shows or video games, things like that. Things that are a
Oh,
little bit
okay.
more like short term
Yeah.
things. Um, an audiobook is like I don't even read that fast, and sometimes these clients want them in 2 weeks, and I'm like, oh God. Um, and it's just, it's the same thing, and it's more of like the same project. And I don't know, my attention span, I like lots of little things. So an audiobook is definitely a marathon for me. And I don't have like a sitting space in my studio, so I'm standing the whole time. And now that it's getting hot out, it's a little toasty. It's toasty and stuffy in there, so I have to take breaks, especially once the air conditioner turns on, um, for the noise factor.
Oh, absolutely.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, because it do be hot. Trust me, this summer is gonna be. Last year was no joke, and I can't imagine what this year is gonna be like. So, yeah,
Yeah, for
yeah,
sure. I mean, so far it's been great, so we can keep
yeah.
this
Okay,
going.
yeah. It's nice to know that, so many clients actually do trust you with your work. And yeah, here's hoping that you continue with these repeat clients in the future.
Yeah, yeah, that's the hope, right? That's how you
Yeah,
start building a business. So thank you
yep,
very much.
of course. So Academy Voices.
Yeah, yeah. Have you explored them at all?
Academy Voices, I've heard of them and I've checked out their website from time to time. I'm on other websites like let me see, there's Skills Hub, Real Voice LA, and a couple of other like voice of what is it? I just did an accountability like before I actually got hopped on here
Mhm.
um with the VO workouts. Let me see. I think it's the yeah, I know they're called the VO workout. Okay, VO Habit Workouts. Yeah. So I'm
Okay.
with them. And also there's a couple of other websites that I'll, totally share by the time we
Hmm.
wrap this up with ya. Email and all that stuff. Um but yeah, I'm on a couple of different websites where I just basically get a lot of training. Right now I'm still in the process of getting a demo done and a website and all this other stuff that um I have to do to grow my business. So that's the main thing. That's a part of my accountability, like part of my goals for this year. So that's something that I'm very much looking forward to. And oh, the voiceover camp. Yeah, I do workouts with them too. How about you? What are your like top? Like, I know you've been doing a lot of work so far this year. Anything like that you like to accomplish or achieve? Like anything that you like to say that you're gonna achieve at least by the end of the year? Like, what are your like main, I guess, goal?
Um,
If you have any
yeah. So,
for the future? Yeah.
um, I really, I'm working, like I said, I'm working really hard to focus more on direct marketing, and I do use social media for direct marketing, not just using like LinkedIn as a roster where I'm just trying to find, casting directors or, um, you know, uh, um, e-learning developers, instructional designers, things like that. But actually, like being in groups of, children's book narrators, because children's books are short, so those would be fine and still a little bit more charactery. Video game producers, things like that. Um, so I at the beginning of every year I do this like look back and then what do you want to accomplish for the year, and I wrote that I wanted to have a $2,000 month. So I need to do the things, but the long term goal, I want to have a $2,000 month sometime this year. Um, And so, what does it take to get there? You have to develop clients. You have to have, a good price point that's not too low, not too high. You have to be open to accepting things. But like we said, I can also fudge that a little bit. Um, and I did have $1,000 month early on, like in March, I had $1,000 month. So I'm like, okay, if by March I had $1,000 month and that was just on Fiverr, that was nothing else. So as I'm starting to broaden my my reach a little bit, I've developed a website or I built a website for myself. I'm starting to reach out to people. I'm getting on other things, so I'm starting to audition more on different sites. I haven't done any of the pay to plays yet. I don't really want to, but we'll see. Um, I'm hoping to, just reach that mark of a $2,000 month just to be like, okay, it's possible, and then hopefully make that more consistent.
Yeah. Okay. Those seem like pretty good goals.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, personally, for me, I have like a spreadsheet of stuff that I want to accomplish. Like, I mean, there's the generic stuff like, the demo and a website, like I mentioned before, and also like, booking like a lead, stuff like that. So,
Yeah,
what I'm
absolutely.
hoping, like, my long-term goal is doing this full time and deliver a performance that can really reach out or touch or that leaves an emotional reaction or response because that's always been my thing in storytelling. Leave something that inspires others. Like be that person who can inspire other people, whether it be through this, my writing or voice acting. That's something that I've strive on doing. Like if it's something that definitely reaches out to somebody and inspires them to do what it is that to accomplish and pursue their dreams and follow their passions, that I'm all here for it.
Absolutely.
That's me. Yep. Alrighty, so we're gonna do a part two of this, and because I do have a few more questions to ask you, but it won't be much longer. So if
Okay.
you enjoyed this so far, yeah, definitely leave, I don't know, like or whatever this YouTube stuff is, and I'll see you all in part two. And
All
until
right.
then, have a good one and stay cool, literally.